the username is Starks21, and he asks, should you sell high on Dalvin, he or she, should you sell high on Dalvin Cook in Dynasty?
Yes, we're back again.
Hey, let's pump up the volume.
Right here.
Staying in the running back realm, Johnny, this one's a little bit near and dear to my heart because in Dynasty, I actually do own this player. So Dalvin Cook, it was asked on Reddit here. The username is Starks21, and he asked, should you sell high on Dalvin, he or she, should you sell high on Dalvin Cook in Dynasty? Johnny, what are your feelings on this?
Yeah, so this was a really interesting question to me because my initial thought was absolutely not. You do not sell high now on Dalvin Cook. And then I was reading some of the comments that people were saying, the injury risk is there. Of course, he hasn't played a full 16 games in any season in his career. We don't like to label players injury prone, but, there certainly is a concern there when you're drafting Dalvin Cook or when you have Dalvin Cook. And so I started to pull back and say, hey, maybe this is actually considering what kind of year he had last year, Travis, 250 attempts, rushing yards, over 1,000 rushing yards last year, had 4.6 yards per carry, looking pretty healthy, right? And so I was like, okay, I was starting to really look and dive in and reassess the situation. And I ultimately did come to the conclusion is that I would not sell high on Dalvin Cook this year. And here's the reason why, the main reasons of why I wouldn't do that. You've seen him not play a full 16 games, and yet he's been super effective. He's been one of the top 5 running backs. You look at where he's getting targeted. He's had an increase in targets each and every single year, and at least 50. If we went from 40 receptions to over 50 receptions, and again, if he can play a full 16 games, you're looking at 60 plus receptions possibly. And now that Diggs is gone, you could see even more dump offs to Dalvin Cook. And one of the biggest things, I know this is always been a floated out stat and a topic talked about. I tend to believe it. I don't know if there's actual evidence behind it, but Travis, he's going into his contract year. All players are going to want to get fed, and they want to show, teams that they deserve to be paid. So why would it be different for Dalvin Cook this year? I actually think that this year, he could actually see an increase. If he can play these full 16 games, stay healthy, he'll see an increase in targets. He'll get the goal line, work there. He'll get, we've seen him run with the ball. He's phenomenal to watch. So I could actually see this year being his best year, and then I would look to trade him next year, similarly we're talking with, Derrick Henry and him getting a contract, and what does that mean for your dynasty level of confidence for Derrick Henry? I think that you could play this the same way, and I think that this is something that we'll start really looking at moving forward in dynasty, is these players, once they kind of get their, first big contract, you might be able to use them for a year or two and then possibly look to move them.
Yeah, I think you've got sound logic here, and I think it also depends on the deal you're putting on the table too, based on the fact that, Dalvin Cook is going to get some continuity here with Gary Kubiak coming in as the new full-time offensive coordinator, which means he's going to run that zone scheme, which means, you drafted Dalvin Cook last year, you got rewarded. I think you get rewarded again this year. But Johnny, I think this game, and I haven't played Dynasty very much, so just to be frank here, I don't know, but, my gut tells me that it's about trying to get rid or sell some of these running backs right before they drop off a cliff. And we could see with the play of Alexander Mattison and the injury history of Dalvin Cook, this could be a cliff year, either this year or next year, where you see Dalvin Cook kind of get phased out. On the contrary, though, because he hasn't had a lot of mileage on his knees because of injury, we could see a situation where, Dalvin Cook actually ends up filling up to his potential through the next 3 years or so. And so I think, do you want to be the guy that traded away a top 5 potential back? Probably not. And so I do like seeing it one more year and kind of, taking your chances on maybe not getting the value you want if Dalvin Cook does kind of botch this year.
Let me ask
I
you
like
this.
his chances though this year. As an owner of Dalvin Cook, I'm not going to sell him high this year. I think I'm going to keep on to Dalvin Cook and just kind of see where this goes. I've been hit up numerous times in the Dynasty Whispers League about Alexander Madison, who a buddy of mine has, Josh, but I'm sticking with what I got here.
So let me ask you this. If you were to potentially, this could help out some other, of Whisper Nation that might have Dalvin. If you are convinced that, you want to get rid of him, you do truly think that he is injury prone or injury riddled, all this stuff, right? The threat of Alexander Madison. What would you be looking to get back for Dalvin?
Maybe this is me asking too much, but I want a first at least. I think Dalvin Cook right now has the potential. We saw him finish top 5 in the weeks that he played. I think this is a guy that's going to do that again if he's healthy, and you want to be able to replace that, whether it be with a wide receiver or a running back or a potential franchise quarterback if you need it. You want to be able to replace that, and I think the higher the picks in these rookie drafts, the better shot you have at a real game changer that could replace that value for you.
100%.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.